Hi, I'm Sam. One morning while walking to school with my younger brother Max, I noticed a woman in a black car trailing us. She kept her distance but was clearly watching us. I tried to ignore it, thinking she was just passing by, but every day she was there, always observing us from the same distance. "Did you see that car again, Max?" I asked, trying to sound casual. "Yeah, it's kinda creepy," Max replied, glancing over his shoulder. I shrugged. Maybe she's just lost. A few days later, she finally approached me while Max ran ahead to catch up with friends. She had a kind face but looked sad. "Excuse me, young man," she said softly. "Can you help me with directions?" I hesitated, remembering all the warnings about strangers. Sure, where are you trying to go?" "I'm looking for Maple Street," she replied, but there was a hint of something else in her voice. A loneliness. "That's a couple of blocks down," I pointed, trying to keep my distance. "Just go straight and take a left at the second light." "Thank you," she smiled, a sad smile that tugged at my heart. "You remind me so much of my son. He passed away a few years ago. I didn't know what to say." "I'm sorry to hear that. It's okay. It's just nice to talk to someone who reminds me of him. Would you mind visiting an old lady from time to time? I feel so lonely." I was taken aback. It felt wrong, but there was something in her eyes. I guess I could, just for a little bit." "Thank you, dear," she said, touching my arm lightly. "You're very kind." The next day after school, I decided to visit her. Her house was just as sad as she was, filled with old photos and a lingering smell of lavender. She welcomed me in with a warmth that felt genuine. "Thank you for coming, Sam," she said, leading me to a cozy living room. "I haven't had company in so long." "No problem," I replied, feeling a bit uneasy but determined to see it through. As we talked, she shared stories about her son and how much I reminded her of him. Despite my reservations, I found myself drawn to her stories and her loneliness. "You've made this old woman very happy, Sam," she said, patting my hand. I smiled. I'm glad I could help. I started visiting the woman regularly after school. Her home was filled with old photos and the scent of lavender. Each time I visited, she seemed genuinely happy to see me. "Sit down, Sam. Let me make you some tea," she said one afternoon as I settled into an old, comfortable armchair. "Thanks, that sounds great," I replied, taking in the room. There were pictures of a young boy who looked a lot like me. She handed me a cup and began to share more stories about her son. "You remind me so much of him. He was always so kind and thoughtful. I'm glad I can help you remember him," I said, sipping my tea. "It must be really hard." "It is," she sighed, "but having you here helps. You bring back good memories." One day her daughter appeared while I was visiting, Emma. "Hi, I'm Emma. You must be Sam. Mom talks about you all the time." "Nice to meet you, Emma," I said, shaking her hand. "I'm glad I can help." After chatting for a while, Emma pulled me aside. "Emma, I need to tell you something about my mom. She has Alzheimer's. Sometimes she thinks you're her son because he moved abroad years ago. It's hard for her to understand." I was shocked. "I had no idea. She told me he passed away." "Emma." She gets confused. "It's really kind of you to visit her, but it might be causing more harm than good." I felt a weight in my chest. I don't want to make things worse. "Emma, just knowing someone cares means a lot, but we need to find a way to help her without adding to her confusion." With Emma's help, I began to understand more about her mom's condition. I learned that my visits, while comforting, might be causing her more confusion. It was a hard truth to swallow, but I knew I had to do what was best for her. Sam, I really appreciate you spending time with my mom," Emma said one afternoon, "but it's time we find a better way to support her." "I get it," I replied. "I don't want to confuse her more. How can I help without visiting?" "Sam, maybe writing letters or sending small gifts," Emma suggested. "Something that doesn't involve face-to-face interactions." I nodded, feeling a mix of sadness and relief. "I can do that." My final visit was emotional. The woman sensed it was our last meeting, even though she seemed lost in her memories. She held my hand tightly, tears welling up in her eyes. "Sam, thank you for everything, Sam," she said, her voice trembling. "You've been so kind. I'll always remember your stories," I promised, feeling tears in my own eyes. "You've taught me a lot about compassion and understanding." "Sam," she smiled, a sad but grateful smile, "you've made this old woman very happy." As I walked away from her house for the last time, I felt a mix of emotions. I had grown and learned so much through this strange, unexpected relationship. It was hard to say goodbye, but I knew it was the right thing to do. When I got home, Max was waiting for me. Sam, how did it go? It was tough, I admitted, but I think it's for the best. Emma and I will find other ways to help her. Sam, I'm proud of you, Sam, Max said, giving me a hug. You've done something really special. Thanks, Max, I replied, feeling a sense of closure. Over the next few weeks, I wrote letters and sent small gifts to the woman. Emma told me that they brought her joy without adding to her confusion. It wasn't the same as visiting, but it was something. Through this experience, I learned the importance of compassion and the impact of small acts of kindness. It deepened my bond with Max and made me appreciate the importance of family even more.